Welcome to today's show. I'm Frank Williams. This is Dan Varjouean,
Hello.
the bionic man. How is it? You got all the things put back together? Your
Oh
foot and
yeah, I
everything?
know. I got an ankle replacement, and in less than 2 months, I was walking on it.
After you used a scooter for a month. Huh?
Oh, I had to use a scooter for like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Talk about, I mean, how embarrassing is that?
Yeah, I know. I see people all around town.
No, I know. You
They
can't
don't
put it.
stay home.
It's no weight bearing, and the reason, because this had been bothering me for like 5 or 6 years to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. It's just bone on bone. It's the tibia in your leg, and it sits on top of a round bone in your ankle called the talus. And well, the talus is only about the size of like a silver dollar, if that big. It's actually a little smaller. And so they put a metal cap on it, and then they put metal cap on your tibia and put a cushion in between them. Well, in years past, since the talus bone is so small, they anchored it with spikes, that they hammer into the bone. And it would fail because you can't put a very, very big spike in there. Whereas in the long bones, when you get your knees done, or, the spikes are like this, they're like 4 or 5 inches long going up into the bones.
Wow.
And yeah. And so, it's really stable. So anyway, there was a pretty high failure rate with the old way we were doing it. And fortunately, the guy told me, he says, you're lucky that you put it off, because now it's completely different. The metal cap we put on here now, it still has some little spikes. They're only about maybe ½ an inch long. But the underside of the new titanium alloy that we use has little micropores in it. And when it's resting up against the bone sees it as bone, and it grows into it.
Right.
Yeah. And so he said, it'll last longer than you're going to be alive, which is probably only going to be about 4 or 5 years. But what the hell?
We never know. We never know. It could be tomorrow.
It could be.
I don't worry. I don't worry about it. I
Yeah.
just go on and.
Well, it's the old Clint Eastwood thing. Don't let the old man in. Yeah.
Well, a lot of things coming down, and people are going to be darn sick of this till what is it, November, and they have the vote again. You watch some of that stuff.
I know.
How they go 360 degrees.
I know.
From
You
what
look
they've
at
been talking about.
I know, because they're lying through their teeth about what they stand for, because they can't actually tell you what their policies are going to be. My God, they can't.
No matter who you vote for, they're not going to do 100% the way you're thinking, because they was born with a different brain.
Yeah.
Politicians are.
No, I don't think so. I think Trump he was the closest thing in my lifetime who actually got accomplished at least 3/4 of what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he tried with the other quarter, and, the Congress just kept getting in the way, and he couldn't get it done.
That's one of the things people don't realize. A lot of the stuff that they're promising, the president can't do it. Not everything is executive privilege. They have to go through Congress to get that done. But I think Congress is going to be working a little better this time.
We can only hope that we keep the majority in the House, but you've got to get the majority in the Senate. That's going to be the key. Because there's a lot of big things that have to get done.
I had a couple of men tell me, I'm not going to vote. Well, no.
Oh, geez, that's just the wrong thing.
It's disgusting. And I've got chewed out a couple of times because I've talked about politics. And they're women that's 70 years old that should know better,
Yep.
I don't understand it.
No, they don't. They just don't like Trump. They say, he just lies about things, and it's just ridiculous. I don't know.
Well, the media's done a pretty good job. They know how to work on a person's brain and how to twist things right around 360 degrees, and it sounds really good. I said, geez, could that be true? And
Really?
I write things down, once in a while, as when I'm watching the news, and through the years, and I go back and look at some of my notes, and you find out that a lot of lies.
Oh, geez. No, everybody except maybe Fox and Newsmax and a couple of other independent channels, the rest of those networks, they're just lying through their teeth about what Kamala and Walz stand for.
And Levin, he reads right off the law.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. One thing they said that TikTok, they was going to get rid of it, and so we had a little time, and so we looked it up. China don't completely own TikTok. They've
No.
got some investment. They had big investments in that valley, Silicon Valley down there when that bank went broke. They was the big one.
Yeah.
The biggest investment.
But isn't it amazing somebody like Elon Musk, he gives $45 million a month to the Trump campaign.
Well, now I'll tell you, Trump come back and says that's a lot of money. He come on TV. I seen him.
Yeah.
He did. He says he's not getting that. But actually, that's just some reporter put that out. But what Elon Musk has said, when it gets close to voter time, he was going to bring in 35 million to get people to go out and vote. He wouldn't mind doing that. But and so you never know. So you heard one thing, and I heard it too, and then I heard Trump come out of his mouth on national TV and say, "Well, it's not getting to 45." And you know why the report? You think why the reporter did that? Well, how many times you get stuff from Donald Trump Jr. and the Republican Party to donate money? All right, if he said, "Well, if he's getting $45 million, he don't need mine." So the little contributions would not go in there. Well, I figure it. I could be wrong, but it'd be the first time this year.
No, that just sounds exactly what the press does.
Well, yeah.
They try to undermine Trump at every turn. Every turn. I mean, the lies that they put out about that guy are just remarkable to me. But, I've been gone since the assassination attempt on him. Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about that. And I'll tell you, I'm sorry. You get to the point where you really begin to think that was orchestrated. I'm sorry. Normally, when the Secret Service is at a spot, they have a communications center where they're actually hooked up with the local cops as well.
Right.
They weren't this time.
Right.
And then all the other internal communications between the Secret Service people, it's actually archived right there on hard disk. They didn't this time. It's all gone. And they still haven't told us what they've done with this kid's phone, the one that has the encrypted phone numbers and stuff on it. Mm-hmm. They claim they can't break it. Are you kidding me? With the supercomputers we have?
They need to find a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah, basically.
He's too young to work for.
I'm sorry, but that's just insane. And then you listen to Dan Bongino, he was in the Secret Service for 12 years. And he points out stuff along with some woman that's been writing columns about it. I can't remember her name now. There's apparently a unit that during the campaign occurrences, events like this, they actually roam around in the crowd.
Right.
They weren't there this time.
Yeah. Well, they said,
and they
claimed that they had to split between them because Biden.
That's just garbage.
I know it.
I'm telling you, I think this was orchestrated from the top, and you got to figure out. I mean, this kid was flying drones over the place to look exactly which roof he was going to go onto, and I mean, come on, give me a break. He's pulling out rangefinders and ranging the distance to the podium, and
a lot of stories. There was a ladder, then there wasn't a ladder. The ladder, and the cop went up there and they aimed at him, and he fell off the ladder.
Well,
and then they said, "Well, there was no ladder. He climbed up a drain pipe." I know. I just can't.
I'm sorry. And so here you have the FBI, the Secret Service, and the CIA are doing the investigations. All three groups of people. Well, I don't know about so much the Secret Service, but DOJ, FBI, and the CIA. What have they been doing to Trump over the last 4 to 6 years?
They haven't been.
They've been trying to kill him.
Right.
In the sense that drag him through the courts, strip him of his money, throw him in jail, whatever it takes to get rid of him. You're telling me that these people wouldn't go that far? I'm sorry. Remember the whole business about him having classified documents at Mar-a-Lago? He took boxes of documents, for eventually his library. And so he was working with the document section in in Washington about getting clearance to keep some of this stuff. He's the president. He can declassify anything he wants. It's just insane. He's working with them. Back and forth, he and his attorneys, they're taking some boxes of stuff back and and then all of a sudden, the DOJ and the FBI show up at his place with a SWAT team,
Right.
with loaded semi-automatic weapons to pick up the rest of the stuff.
They say Bush was on, when Kennedy killing, Bush was on the Secret Service at that time, and then he became president soon. And I never followed that up.
But the point was, what are they showing up like that for? Because there's just maybe the slightest chance they'd have a chance to just kill him. Because he did something maybe that they thought was threatening.
Right.
That's what worries me about these people more than anything else. And, you know, now Trump is saying, well, if I get in, I'm going to try and bring us together by not, you know, going after these people. And, you know, he talks about how they've been going after him. You know, they've weaponized the judiciary system to go after him. And he goes, and what did I do when I got into office, in 2016? I could have had Hillary thrown in jail for destroying evidence when she was subpoenaed to prove, but I didn't. I thought we should come together and not deal with that kind of stuff. Well, because I guess I made a mistake there.
Yeah.
You know? And that is absolutely the case. You know, right now he's saying, oh, I'm not going to go after these people and seek revenge and this and that. Well, I hope he's lying about that, to tell you the truth. I want him to go after these people. Because if you don't go after them, they're going to keep doing it. That's the problem.
Big money begets money.
No, I mean,
those
never. 41 guys at the CIA, with the intelligence agencies that signed that letter that said that Trump's son, not Trump, but Biden's son's laptop was something the Russians planted. You know, they knew it wasn't. But that helped swing the election.
Well,
And, well, so what would you do with those guys? If you get into office, if he gets in office, all 41 of those, you know, they still all have their, even though most of them are retired, they've got their security clearances. They keep them. You know why? Well, you never know. Something might come up where we might need the expertise of one of these guys that's retired, and he's still got his security clearance. No, you strip them of their security clearance. If I had my way, I'd put them in a room and just say, listen, we're going to strip you of your retirement money as well.
right.
We're going to strip you, and if you don't like that, then we're going to charge you with sedition. And if we can get a conviction, I'll go for the maximum sentence, which is 20 years, which is, given your ages, that's a death sentence.
$40 million they spent on that Russian collusion when the FBI
Knew it was bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew it was, and those people should lose their homes, their retirement, and any savings they got. You know, how did they become multimillionaires on $200,000, less than $200,000 salary?
Well, you kind of wonder about a lot of the people in Congress, except not many of the Republicans. But you know, AOC, that woman, Alexandria Cortez,
Yes.
out of New York, she's now a multimillionaire. And it's because she wrote a book.
Yeah, and who bought the book?
Well, that's the point right there.
Who bought the book?
They come along and they say, listen, we'll give you an advance. And the advances are big, sometimes like $250,000, right? Then she has it ghost written. She doesn't write the damn thing. She's not smart enough to, you know, write out an invitation card. And then the billionaires like Soros and that, they come in and buy up millions of copies. And she gets all the royalties.
Right.
And then they distribute that book at all of the Democratic events going around, Democrat Party events going on around in the country. That's how they become millionaires.
Well, you know, I noticed that when I was a young man. I said my brother had a barber shop downtown. And I was looking. I said, how can they spend more money on an election? You know, it's because of the donations. I says, then they're making in salary. Well, Senator Morris, remember him? Years ago, he had a ranch in Virginia. All right, let's say you're raising registered Angus cattle, and somebody gives you $40,000 for a bull. If you do something and get some kind of legislation going. Actually, it's more than a dozen lobbyists for everyone that's elected in Congress and House and Senate. They say there's more than a dozen. I think it was about 20 lobbyists for every one of them. So, and it's all these big corporations. Big money's running it. So is the people who manufacture war equipment. They were tickled to death when they left that, $85 billion over there in that oil country.
I don't even like to think about that sort of stuff.
You know, people don't think about it. People do not think about that. Like that $40 million, that was our tax dollars.
$80 million. $80 million in equipment.
The only money that they were taking in was when Trump got in there, and he put subsidies on, not subsidies. He charged them like China.
Oh yeah, tariffs.
Tariffs. He put tariffs on them. And that's when they made money. Otherwise, the only money they get is what we give them.
You know, that whole business about Afghanistan. You know why Biden pulled out in the way he did, is because he wanted to do it on the anniversary of 9/11. And so they just pulled out, left all the equipment, and left a lot of our troops there, too. They had trouble getting out. We lost 13 of them, you know, in the process. Do you know what Trump was doing before Biden came into office? He had worked out a schedule with the Taliban. He worked out a schedule that we would withdraw over a period of months, take our equipment with us, remove our troops, and this and that. And he was actually in the room with the head of the Taliban and a couple of his deputies. And there was, I saw this in some interview with two black congressmen talking to somebody interviewing him about Trump, interviewing them. And they told the story because they have direct evidence of this. Here's what happens. They're sitting in the room together. There's a translator for Trump. And Trump tells the guy, the head of the Taliban, if during that period of withdrawal we lose any troops because of the action of the Taliban, I will kill you. Mm-hmm. He actually said that. Mm-hmm. The translator wasn't going to tell him. And he says, you tell him what I just said. So he tells the guy, and then as the guy's shocked, you know, as he's sitting there dumbfounded over what Trump just said, Trump reaches in his pocket and pulls out an aerial photograph taken with a drone of this guy's house with a crosshair on it. And he goes, and just threw it at him. And then got up and walked out.
Yeah.
Didn't have to say another word.
Yeah.
That's who you need as the commander-in-chief. Not these jerks that are in there now. I mean, my God. It's just incredible, isn't it?
Did you see the other day where there was the map of Idaho coming in?
Yeah.
And it was eastern Oregon mainly. It just come right down the mountain range. We're not included in that, and that's a crying shame. I don't know if we never voted on it.
No, I don't know how that happened.
But
you know, there you have it. And then look at what Biden and it's Harris too. I mean, you have to understand everything that happened during the Biden administration. She brags, I was the last person in the room with him when we made these big decisions. So I'm sorry, everything that happened during the Biden administration, she was part of. But of course, they're lying about it now.
Yeah.
But the whole thing with Israel, I'm sorry. When that attack occurred in Israel, where they killed over 1,200 people, torturing them, and by the way, they just found 5 more of the hostages dead. I mean, they're killing them. Hamas is killing them. The idea that we're going to get hostages back is a joke. Anyway, but here you have a situation where Hamas should be eliminated. 85% of the Palestinians living in Gaza were all in favor of what the butchery they did on October 7th. And then we're supposed to worry about whether or not we kill civilians accidentally?
Right.
No, absolutely not. They need to wipe them out. It's just remarkable to me that, and most people don't understand this. Jews that live there in Israel, they're as much Palestinians as the people that call themselves Palestinians. Did you know that?
Well, no, I didn't know that.
No, because that whole area in biblical times was known as Palestine. The Romans were in charge, and here comes this Jew named, we call him Jesus Christ, but his original name was, let me see if I can get it right, Yusuf bin Yosef. It was translated as Messiah born of Joseph.
What?
Now wait a minute. And you know what he was? He was an apocalyptic prophet. He was talking about how God was going to come as end of times, and he was going to punish the Romans and the this and the that and the other. But at the time, he was a Jew, and all the Jews that were living in Palestine were Palestinians, along with the Arabs that were there. The Romans were the only people that weren't. Okay, and of course, he was threatening the Romans everywhere he went, giving these crazy speeches of his. And so, what did they do to him? They killed him.
I got something goes right in with that there. I was listening to the radio the other day, and they was talking about this Jewish family, this husband and wife. They was trying to have a baby, for months and months. She wasn't getting pregnant, so they discussed it, and they thought, well, they'll call the rabbi.
What?
They called when they had rabbis.
Rabbi, yeah.
Yeah, the rabbi. So they called the rabbi, and she says, talked to him for a while, and she said, well, this is the reason I called you. She says, we've been trying to be pregnant for months and months, and it's been going on, and can you help us? She says, I'm trying to get pregnant. He says, I'll be there at 3:00. So we want to go on from there.
No,
I got another one, but that's all right. But yeah, I don't understand that myself. Now all it's about, and I just think that Ukraine is less about Jewish religion, that they wanted to kill them just like they did during the German War. You've seen pictures of, they got pictures of that where they.
Do you think that Russia would have invaded Ukraine if Trump had been a president? No.
Definitely not.
And here we have Harris, Kamala. She goes to Russia and talks to Putin, and this is before he invaded Ukraine. Was going to, work out some sort of tactical or political solution, and she left, and 3 days later he invaded Ukraine.
Well, and people don't realize that that's why your vote is so important, because if they hadn't voted for Biden, probably a lot of them people wouldn't have been killed.
No.
But this works right in with these Bilderbergers and the Rothschilds years ago. They was always worried about the overpopulation. Who's going to buy their stuff they're producing if everybody was dead? And why they, like Walmart has a great big hideaway. So, if something should happen in America, who's going to be left here? And why are we buying oil from a country that's building weapons that could destroy us?
No, I know.
People don't think about that.
I know.
Yeah, and I still protesting. I go into the gas station. I sit in a car and make them pump my gas. The people just don't think about things. I go down to Fred Meyer's. I pick up the blueberries, and they're made in Mexico. I put them back, and when they're on sale and they're USA berries, I buy them. Same with Tyson Chicken. Tyson Chicken, they said that he laid off a bunch of the American workers and brought in illegals. Well, then, is it true or not true? Because they're supposed to be here 6 months, but did he go by the 6 months before he hired them?
But here's the key thing about all of this for me.
Protest.
It's just, we need to stop being divided and this and that and the other, and all come together and try to work together as a nation. And my answer to that is no, absolutely not. The core of the Democrat Party has to be destroyed. These people need to just be gone. We can't live under you can't reason with these people. It's just incredible.
They've been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed by the fake news.
But that's the whole point. And you just, I'm sorry. If they've got a D behind their name, you just don't vote for them. I don't care who they are. Val Hoyle is up, right? Our woman that's our representative. You got to vote for the other gal. I can't remember her name right now.
We just said Dan a little while ago, that news commentator. He said that some of those communists Photoshop. Now we can do that right here. We could have a crowd right behind you and me
No.
right here.
I know.
Yippee
Cheering.
and Skippy and holler and screaming, and you have a little canned laughter every time you say something. We could do that,
I know.
but we're honest.
I know. No, these people are, I mean, and the amazing thing about it is they're just openly Marxist now. Everything is about taking more of your money and giving it to other people. I mean, and shutting down or controlling industries. I mean, when Kamala Harris came out and said she wants to start putting caps on products, the cost of products. And, you know, talking about, well, it's just those greedy corporations that are making the food market so high. I'm sorry. Safeway, for example, their profit margin is less than 2%. Get real.
Yeah.
Why is the price higher? Because of all the costs associated with getting that food on the counter in the market. Most of it, the cost of fuel.
Right. Well, you know, ever since I was a kid, I've been around farming and ranching, and what they're talking about putting controls on the price of food. If wheat this was $4 a bushel and it went down to $3, the next year the farmer and rancher did not plant wheat. He'd plant oats or barley or alfalfa or something else, and that goes through anything they got. Now, right now up in the valley, they're tearing out the hazelnut orchards because in around McMinnville, Oregon, because McMinnville had a plant there that worked up the hazelnuts.
Oh.
And so my friend says, I went to school with you. I don't understand it. My neighbor did acres and acres of trees coming out, and they're planting either blueberries or grapes.
Really? Oh.
So, well, and you know,
that's
dangerous too.
But see, that's what capitalism is. It's the invisible hand of the marketplace. You know that there's been beautiful descriptions of how you make a pencil. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, it's just incredible. Where do you get the graphite? Where do you get the cedar wood? Where do you get the rubber? Where do you get the metal that's a little furl on the pencil? You start looking at all that stuff. Nobody's controlling any of it. It just happens. And that's the way it needs to be. The only thing government needs to do is protect against monopolies, unfair ones, especially like Chinese ones, right? But that can be done. The rest of it should be hands off. It's somebody. Oh, I know. The other thing they're against, and they're saying it right in the DNC thing going on right now. They're against generational wealth. They want to be able to tax your inheritance,
right,
up the wazoo, because it's just not fair that your kids are going to get money, you know, and they didn't work for it. What? The whole idea of working and sacrificing is for your own benefits, but also for the benefit of your kids. And somehow or another, that part of what I accumulated is supposed to go to some jackass that claims he's homeless? No.
My friend that I grew up with, my buddy, got $200,000 out of an estate from a ranch that sold in one city. Now he has to show the estate, the ranch that him and his brother's living on. He has to come up with $200,000 because of the money that comes from the other.
No,
ranch.
I know. I don't see. To me, I don't think the real property, especially if it's your primary residence or your place of business or whatever. I don't think there should be any inheritance tax on that stuff. It's just ridiculous. You know, your stock holdings, there's a benefit to it because they tax you at a level that's less than if you had to pay the capital gains tax. That's the only way you can get away with what they do. It's just, but the idea that they, I think it was Newt Gingrich who said it, what's just absolutely horrifying is the idea that you pass away and who shows up at the door of your...
Uncle Sam.
Huh?
Uncle Sam.
He said, who shows up at the door of your heirs? First, it's the coroner, and then comes the tax guy.
Yeah. You can't afford to die nowadays.
It's just crazy.
You work all your life for something like that, and then they do nothing but squelch it away.
No, I know.
Well, there's our show for the day, Dan.
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much.
You betcha.
You don't want to do another one?
Yep. Not today. No, I got to go. I got prescriptions to get. I'm supposed to go to the market. And if I don't get all that done,
I
by the
never
time
get to
my wife gets
statewide.